stop to think that maybe you're being deceived? That this happiness they keep selling everywhere is just another well-packaged product, designed to keep you running in circles like a hamster on a wheel? No one tells you this, but I will now. The more you chase happiness, the more it slips away. And it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because the idea of happiness they taught you might just be a convenient lie. We live in an age where smiling is mandatory. Being happy is a status symbol. And anything outside of that is seen as failure, weakness, or drama. But tell me something. Since when did being human mean being perfectly content all the time? No one prepares you for the weight of pretending to be okay while everything inside you is begging for help. The pursuit of happiness has become an addiction disguised as virtue. And the cruelest part of it all, the more you chase it, the emptier you feel. Because the happiness they promised you was never real. This video isn't for people who want ready-made quotes or fake smiles. It's for those who are tired of feeling incomplete in a world that demands perfection. It's for those brave enough to question what everyone else blindly accepts. Here, we'll talk about what no one talks about. We'll go deep, no rush, no masks. Because maybe true peace doesn't lie in being happy, but in finally letting go of the need to be. And when you realize that, you might find something far greater waiting for you. Ready to find out what it is? The pleasure of being happy and the prison it creates. You know that feeling of chasing something that never arrives? That's what happiness has become. A finish line that moves every time we get close. Society has taught us that being happy is the ultimate mission, as if it's a sin to be sad or confused. We wake up wanting more, wanting better, wanting to be happy, but deep down, no one even knows what that really means. And the more we run, the more happiness runs too, just in the opposite direction. It's strange how happiness turned into a kind of social currency. If you're not posting smiles, trips, or toasts, it's like you're doing life wrong. It almost feels like an obligation to be okay all the time, even when you're falling apart inside. Have you noticed how saying, "I'm tired," sounds like failure now? As if exhaustion isn't part of the deal. The truth is, happiness has become a performance. And if you don't join the dance, you end up feeling left out, like there's something broken inside you. And that's when the trap begins. When happiness turns into a demand, it stops being light and becomes a burden. People are not burning out because they lack happiness, but because they exhaust themselves trying to feel it all the time. We traded peace for the duty of joy. And little by little, we disconnect from reality. Because real life has good days, yes, but it also has awful ones. And that's okay. Maybe the problem isn't being sad. Maybe the real issue is believing that being sad is a problem. And that, in the end, brings us to what comes next, the happiness industry. When smiles become products, there's something very strange going on when even our joy becomes merchandise. Think about it. There's an entire industry profiting off your emptiness, selling happiness in capsules, books, slogans, and pastel-colored packaging. The issue isn't wanting to feel good. It's believing that well-being always has to come from outside. That belief creates emotional dependency. You end up like a hamster on a wheel, always hoping the next course, the next coach, or the next holiday will finally bring peace. This constant pursuit leaves us in a state of chronic lack. Ironically, we've never been more stimulated or more drained. We're bombarded by promises of perfect happiness in every click, every motivational video, every sunset-filtered photo. The whole world seems happy, except you, and that crushes you. Because deep down you ask, why not me? The truth? It's not happening for most people either. But everyone pretends. It's a silent competition where the winner is whoever seems the most fulfilled. What no one tells you is that this race never ends. Maybe the most dangerous part of all, this is constant comparison. You're no longer living your life. You're adjusting it to match someone else's highlight reel. The more you try to shape your journey to fit other standards, the more you lose yourself. This creates a frustration that's subtle but corrosive. Slowly, you stop enjoying small things because they seem insignificant compared to what others are showing. And something inside starts to scream silently. That quiet scream is what leads us into the next chapter. The emptiness disguised as joy, there's a sadness that wears the costume of contentment. It's when you smile on the outside, but feel a cold silence inside. A silence no one hears. Not even you, sometimes. That's where the danger lies. When you start numbing yourself with distractions, you try to fill the void with meaningless outings, impulsive shopping, endless short videos, just to avoid the discomfort that shows up when your phone dies. And that's the part nobody posts. The emptiness that surfaces when the noise stops. What's most cruel is that this emptiness isn't weakness. It's awareness. It shows up when your soul realizes it's living a prepackaged life. A life you didn't really choose, but accepted because it was what it was. And since nobody wants to be the weird one, you play along. You smile, you toast, you dance, but inside, everything's on airplane mode. Until one day you stop, look around, and ask, why am I pretending so much? And that question, though scary, is a door. Not the end, just a beginning. Some respond to the emptiness with more noise. Others respond with courage. The courage to sit with it, to hear what it's trying to say, and to understand what has been silenced within. Sometimes it's a forgotten dream. Other times, a relationship that's slowly dying, or a buried identity. The truth is, forced joy only covers a hole. It doesn't fill it. And in that moment, the world starts to lose its fake glow and is replaced by a quieter, more authentic light. Because when you stop pretending to be okay, you finally begin to understand what it means to be whole. But that takes a kind of strength most people don't even know they have. Yet, when the pursuit of happiness becomes self-abandonment, some people get lost trying to find themselves. And ironically, that's what happens when happiness becomes a goal. You begin ignoring your pain, your discomfort, your shadows, because you think feeling those things slows you down. I can't be sad now. I can't show weakness. I can't disappoint. So slowly you set yourself aside. You put on pleasing masks, adopt behaviors that aren't yours, and chase dreams that make no sense to your soul, all in the name of being happy. But what if true happiness only comes when you stop trying to be someone else? It's hard to accept, but many people are smiling with their faces and crying through their bodies. The soul sends signals, sometimes in the form of anxiety, sometimes exhaustion, sometimes sleeplessness or random existential crises. But no one teaches you to read these signs. So you keep trying to fill the void with more effort, more goals, more automatic smiles. You go to the gym not out of love for your body, but out of hatred for it. You read self-help books not for wisdom, but out of desperation for a quick fix. You change partners, cities, routines, only to realize the emptiness travels with you. It's not outside. It's a reflection of what's been silenced within. Self-abandonment is sneaky because it's silent. You think everything's fine, and from the outside, it looks like it is. But deep down, there's a part of you that knows something has been left behind. That part of you that used to love drawing, walking alone, listening to music slowly, staring at the sky with no rush. Do you remember that? Maybe it's time to remember. Maybe, just maybe, the secret isn't chasing happiness, but reclaiming the parts of yourself you lost along the way. And if that sounds familiar, what comes next will hit even deeper. The illusion of consistency. Happiness is not a fixed place. There's a silent belief that happiness, once reached, will stay forever, like a mountain. You climb, you struggle, you win, and then you just live at the top. But life doesn't work like that. It's more like the sea. Sometimes calm, sometimes wild, sometimes too deep to understand. Thinking you can live under permanent blue skies is forgetting that storms are what teach you to sail. Happiness isn't a fixed destination. It's a moment. And by definition, moments pass. Try and hold on to them is like trying to keep the wind in a box. That's where many people break. Because when a happy moment fades, as all moments do, they think they've lost everything, that they failed, that they're going backwards. But that's not it. It's just life moving. The problem is we've been conditioned to see sadness as failure and joy as success. That creates a toxic emotional relationship with time. You start wanting to freeze the good times and avoid the bad ones, as if you could edit your existence. But the truth is, no one grows only in comfort, and no one understands peace without having tasted pain. It's in that cycle of highs and lows that the soul grows stronger. When you realize that happiness comes and goes, like a breeze you can't control, something inside shifts. You start living with more ease, more honesty, less pressure. You start accepting the now, whatever it may be, and then something curious happens. You stop chasing happiness, and it begins to appear, softly, subtly, almost without making a sound. Because maybe it was always there, just waiting for you to stop shouting and start listening. And if that idea resonates with you, the next part will touch even deeper. The peace that lives in silence. Redefining what it means to be happy, there's a kind of peace that never shows up on social media. It doesn't have background music, filters, or viral potential. It's the kind that's born in the silence of mind, in the rest of the body, in the relief of no longer having to prove anything to anyone. True happiness may not come with fireworks, but with quiet sighs, the kind that follow honest decisions, firm boundaries, and ordinary days ending with gratitude. Real happiness doesn't scream. It whispers, and only those who slow down can hear it. Maybe that's the key, slowing down. Not to stop living, but to finally start feeling the taste of coffee, the touch of the wind, the presence of someone near. When we stop chasing what we think we lacked, we start seeing what's always been there. A child's hug, a partner's affection, a conversation with an old friend, the sound of our own breathing. Simple things. But they become invisible when the mind is too busy chasing an illusion of happiness that doesn't exist outside of us. Life happens now, and now is usually enough. Redefining happiness means realizing you don't have to be partying to be okay. Sometimes all you need is silence, space, truth. Peace begins when you stop hurting yourself in the name of an unreachable ideal. It begins when you allow yourself to feel everything, even the pain, because life wasn't meant to be perfect. It was meant to be lived. And living, truly living, means having the courage to be present, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. And that leads us right into what may be the deepest point of all, when pain becomes a path, not a punishment. Happiness is not something you chase. It's something you allow. There comes a moment in life when you get tired, not of the world out there, but of the weight you put on yourself. You get tired demanding joy every day, of faking strength when everything inside you is begging for care. That's when you start to realize you weren't made to run emotional marathons. Maybe happiness was never prized, but rather the freedom to stop running. Happiness, in the end, isn't something you achieve. It's something you allow. It shows up when you finally give yourself permission to be, even if that version isn't perfect. Allowing yourself to feel is revolutionary in a world addicted to hiding. Accepting that you have bad days, messy thoughts, unexplained emptiness. This is part of being human. And the strange thing is, the more real you allow yourself to be, the lighter everything feels. Not because the problem will disappear, but because you stop fighting them. You stop demanding instant healing. You stop comparing yourself to people who are pretending to. And you begin to understand there's even beauty in pain, if it's lived with presence. Maybe happiness is presence. Not a marathon, not a trophy, but an inner place you visit when you stop running from yourself. When you sit, breathe, and listen. When you let go of expectations and start embracing what already is. And suddenly, what felt unreachable starts showing up in the simplest things. Not because everything got perfect, but because you stopped demanding perfection. And if this makes sense to you, maybe you're already feeling the beginning of something new, something that can't be explained in words, but only felt in silence, a rare kind of peace, an effortless happiness.